Welcome to the Granny Square series. This week you can learn how to make a little mini version of the Sunburst square. Here it is in different colours. I've just added this border because I thought it looked cute. Here it is in just one colour, the pistachio. And this is the main version of the Sunburst square. So you can see I did one with the border as well. So you can see it is the same square, but it's a smaller version that we're going to be making so that it fits in with all the other granny squares that we've been making in this series. So the stitch count is the same. In the big square, the clusters are 4-stitch clusters, and I've done that here in this little square, but you can do 3-stitch clusters if you're trying to save on yarn, which I often do. But I think it does look nice with the 4 stitches. It's a bit fuller. So for this square, I've been using the Stylecraft Special DK acrylic yarn. This is pistachio, toy, pale rose and meadow, and I just used the cream for this border. This square here is in the pistachio. For the demo, I'm going to be using the Moonstone from the Stonewash range, and I'll be using a 4mm hook. So let's get started. To begin, I'm going to make a double magic circle, and we're going to chain 1. For round 1, we're going to make 12 US doubles, UK trebles. So you can make your first stitch whichever method you like. I'm going to use Cypress textile method. I'm going to make a US single and chain 1. So that's a UK double, chain 1 if you're using UK terms, and that's our starting stitch. We're now going to make 11 more stitches, so there'll be 12 stitches in total using US doubles, UK trebles. So if you're making along, you can press pause, and I'll see you at the end of the round. When we've made 12 stitches, just count to check that you've got 12 stitches, including that starting stitch. And then we're going to tighten our circle, pull on the tail, see which loop tightens first, and then pull that loop all the way. Sometimes you have to give your yarn, your work, a little bit of a jiggle. And then once you've pulled that, pull the tail, and you want to close the circle up completely. Yeah, we're then going to slip stitch. So we're going to slip stitch across that starting stitch into the first full US double, UK treble we made, and that slip stitch now counts as the top of that starting stitch. Yeah, and we're going to chain 1. And that's how your work should look at the end of round 1. Round 2. So if you're changing colour, you're going to want to cut your yarn here and attach a new colour. And for this round, we're going to be making a puff stitch into each of these stitches from round 1. So we'll be making 12 puff stitches in total, with a chain 1 space between each puff stitch. And we'll be making 3 loop puff stitches. Yeah, so to make the first one, we're just going to pull that first chain up a little bit. We're going to yarn over once, go into the stitch, pull the yarn through. We're then going to yarn over, this is the second time, go into the stitch, pull through, and then we're going to yarn over for the third time, go into the stitch, pull through, and then you should have 7 loops on your hook. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to yarn over and pull through all of those loops, chain 1, Sorry, there's a hair there. Oops. So chain 1, and we're going to repeat into each stitch. So three loop puff stitch into each stitch, and then a chain 1 space between each puff stitch, and then move on to the next stitch. So if you're making along, you can press pause, and I'll see you at the end of the round. At the end of round 2, we'll finish with a chain, and then we're going to slip stitch into the top of your first puff stitch. Oops. And then slip stitch into the chain 1 space. Chain 1. And that's how it should look at the end of round 2. You should have 12 puff stitches. If you're changing colour, cut and tie your yarn, and we'll move on to the next round. So for round 3, we're going to make 12 3 or 4 stitch clusters. You can make 3 or 4 stitch clusters. I'm going to make 4 stitch clusters into these chain 1 spaces, and in between each cluster we will make 2 chains. So for the first cluster, I'm just going to, we already chained 1 at the end of the last round. I'm going to chain a second time, and I'm going to make my first cluster. So yarn over, go into the space, pull through, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, go into the space, pull through, 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, go into the space, pull through. There should be 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2. So if you're making a 3 stitch cluster, you can yarn over and pull through all 4 loops. If you're making a 4 stitch cluster, we're going to yarn over and go in again, pull through. You'll now have 6 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. We'll have 5 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through all 5 loops, chain 2. And we're going to repeat into the next space, so making either a 3 or 4 stitch cluster, and then chain 2, and repeat all the way around. So if you're making along with me, you can press pause, and I'll see you at the end of the round. So at the end of round 3, we'll finish with a chain 2, and then we're going to slip stitch into the first cluster that we made. And then slip stitch into the chain 2 space. If you're changing colour, you can cut and tie your yarn and then attach a new colour. I'm going to chain 1, and that's how it should look at the end of round 3. So for round 4, this is my favourite round. We're going to square our circles. So we're going to start off with making a US single. That's a UK double. We're now going to make 2 half stitches. That's a US half double or a UK half treble. 2 of them into that same space. So we have 3 stitches. We're now going to hop across to the next space. This is going to be our corner. We're going to make 2 US doubles, UK trebles. Yeah, we're going to make 1 US treble, UK double treble. Yeah, we're going to chain 2, and we're going to finish the corner. So into that same space, we're going to make a US treble, a UK double treble, and then we're going to make 2 US doubles, UK trebles. Crikey, look at what's happened to my yarn there. Right, I'm just going to carry on. There we go. Okay, so then we're going to hop across to the next space. We're going to make 2 half stitches. And we're going to make 1 US single, UK double. And that's our repeat. So we now start back at the beginning, yeah? So we're going to make a US single, UK double, 2 half stitches, yep, and then into the second corner. So we'll make 2 US doubles, UK trebles, we'll make 1 US treble, UK double treble, chain 2, make 1 US treble, UK double treble, two US doubles, UK trebles. So that's our second corner made. We're then going to make 2 half stitches into the next chain space. Oops. Make a US single, UK double. And we're back at the beginning again. So if you're making along, you can press pause and I'll see you at the end of the round. So at the end of the round, you should finish with a US single, UK double, and then we're just going to slip stitch across to join. I'm going to chain 1, and there's our little mini sunburst square. Isn't it cute? And I'm also going to share with you in another video, we'll be looking at the half sunburst squares as well. So I'll see you in the next video.